Hi there, welcome to today's class. We'll begin with some time to relax, so just getting yourself settled on your mat in Shavasana. So as you settle into Shavasana, deciding how your back feels today. Do you need to rest with the knees bent and the feet flat? Or straighter legs with support under the knees from a cushion? Or are you happy with fully outstretched legs, feet apart, toes flopping to the corners? Take some time to settle your legs. Make sure that the position of your legs helps your back to be comfortable, shifting the hips or the shoulders to increase the comfort of your back. Deciding whether your arms are in the traditional position, away from the body with the palms up, or alternatively palms down or hands against the body somewhere. Make sure the head's in line with the spine. Rest the head heavy so the neck can soften. Having made those adjustments to your position, allow the body to become still and steady, just like the ground beneath you. Remaining in that posture, resting in stillness. And as you rest there in the stillness, begin to tune into your breath. Just noticing the movement that your breath is making. Naturally, what depth and speed it's moving at. And for a few cycles of breath, we'll use an audible out breath. So your audible out breath could be a sigh, or it could be as if you were blowing out a candle through more pursed lips, whatever feels comfortable to you. So focus your awareness on that outgoing breath, the audible out breath. And imagine as you breathe out, it can decrease any tension in your body or mind. So it might be that there's a little bit of tension in your shoulder, and as you breathe out, you imagine it being softened and released. Or if there's some discomfort somewhere in your body, imagine it releasing as you exhale. And if it's that your mind is busy or sleepy, as you breathe out, imagine that dissipating. So this emphasis on really releasing the breath from the body, along with any tension or discomfort, wherever that might be relevant for you for now. And it could just be that as you breathe out, you imagine the body getting heavier and more relaxed against your mat. So just a couple more rounds of that, focusing on the out breath, an audible out breath through the mouth. And then let the breath settle, breathing in and out through the nose. Having focused on the out breath, you may find that it has naturally lengthened, and that slightly longer out breath can make way for a fuller, more spacious in-breath. But just letting the breath find its natural depth and speed. A quiet, gentle breath. And as you continue to rest your body in the stillness, letting the breath settle, be really aware of the movement that your breath creates in the body. As you're exhaling, the belly softens, the ribs draw in. And as you're inhaling, the belly expands and the ribs expand also. Just observing that process. The ebb and flow of the breath. And sometimes when we give the mind such a simple task, it likes to wander off and think about other things, or it might become sleepy. Anytime you notice the mind is distracted in any way, gently focus back on the breath. The journey of the breath as it comes and goes from the body, and the movement that this creates. And then transferring the awareness from the breath into the body, down to the fingers and toes. Begin to make little tiny movements with the fingers and the toes. And then gradually bigger movements through the limbs. Maybe take the arms overhead, reach out through the feet for a full body stretch. Maybe hug the knees into the chest and rock from side to side. Or any other movements that feel like they are useful to you. Once you've made those movements, rest yourself with the knees bent and the feet flat. We're going to draw the knees into the chest. Using the hands, we will circle the knees. They're going in the same direction as each other. So you could have the knees apart or together. You could hold the knees or the thighs, but then they move in the same direction as each other. So in doing that movement with the legs, you are rolling the lower back around the floor. And if you keep the circle really small, it tends to concentrate the effect close to the spine. But if you make the movement bigger, it will take the massaging effect wider across the back. So experiment. Once you've got a little time in one direction, reverse the direction and experiment with the size of the circle, the speed of the circle. You might decide to relax the arms and just work with the legs. So just explore how that feels for you right now as you move the legs and mobilize the lower back against the mat. It will feel different if your knees move further away or closer in. So just try different variations for yourself. And reverse the direction from time to time. And then drawing to a close, placing the feet back down on the ground, either rest in stillness or take a moment to stretch. So then moving into the hips, so the feet come off the ground once more, hands onto the knees. This time the knees are circling in opposite directions to each other. So they come towards the chest, wide to the sides, away from the chest and back together. You can keep the toes touching. This keeps the size of the circle reasonably small, but for a deeper hip stretch, you can separate the feet. So again, experiment and see what suits your body. If you're finding that your hips feel really different to each other, you might decide to work with one leg for a little while and then pause and work with the other leg. But if you feel reasonably even and working with both legs at the same time, be guided by your experience. So if it's painful or clunky or clicky, slow it down, make it smaller. Try and find a smooth journey through the movement. But you're in charge, so see what suits you, the speed, the size, how many repetitions. If you haven't already, pause at a convenient moment to reverse the direction. You might also find that the hands aren't useful, so you might just rest the arms on the ground, continue moving the legs. It's all about mobilizing, lubricating, easing, and warming those hip joints. And then coming to rest, place the feet back down. Take a moment to be still or to stretch as you wish. So then lifting the feet off the ground once more, we're going to loosen the knees. So for this one, hold the backs of the thighs and let the feet dangle down behind the thighs, and then stretch one foot up towards the ceiling. Up to you whether you fully stretch the knee or whether you keep a gentle bend in the knee, whatever feels most comfortable. Flexing the foot will give a stronger stretch down the back of the leg, but you could have the foot relaxed, and then bend the knee, come back down, and repeat with the other leg, lengthening up through the back of the knee, heel to the sky, and then bending. Working with the breath, so the out breath is the extension, the in breath is the bending. If it's too much to continue with the feet held off the ground, you could have the feet on the ground and work from there, stretching and bending, alternating legs. So as you do the movement, just tuning in to the knee. How does it feel to extend and bend the knee? What does it feel like down the back of the leg? Do both legs feel the same, or do they feel quite different to each other? Are you keeping a little bit of tone in the belly to help you hold the legs off the floor? Can you keep the rest of the body relaxed, particularly the shoulders, the neck and the face? The breath guiding the movement, exhaling to stretch, inhaling to bend. Repeating one or two more till you feel that you've worked equally with both legs. And then coming to rest, either in stillness or taking a stretch as you need. Just bring the feet off the ground again, give the ankles a bit of a stretch, so circling the feet at the ankles, a few times in one direction, a few times in the other. Also have a little wriggle of the toes. You can curl and stretch the toes towards and away from the soles of the feet. Loosening, easing, mobilizing those ankle and toe joints. Have rest with the feet on the ground for a moment, and I'll just show you the next practice. So there are a few variations. We're going to be hugging one knee into the chest, the other leg is extending down the mat, and the leg that's extended can rest onto the mat, or if you want a little bit more challenge and also core strengthening, it will be raised off the mat just a couple of inches. And then we come back in to both knees bent and then extend the other leg either off the ground or on the ground. If it's too much for the non-stretching leg to be held into the chest, then you could work from knees bent, feet flat, and extend and bend in that way. But if it's comfortable, both knees into the chest, hold one leg, extend the other. Come back into both knees bent, and then switch over. The breath is to inhale when both knees are in the chest, and to exhale as you're extending the leg. Inhale, both knees bent. Exhale, one leg extends. So for me, I find if I have my feet flexed, it brings strength into my legs, and that seems to help me with this practice. Also being aware of keeping toned in the belly, particularly at the point when you're extending the leg and exhaling. Keeping toned in the belly so that the back stays in neutral and doesn't arch away from the mat. And with the extending leg, it's trying to reach as far away as possible. And at the same time, you can give a gentle pressure to the lifted knee so that you create openness through the front of the hip. So exhale, extend one leg, draw the other leg in close. Inhale, return to symmetry. Complete one or two more till you are even on both legs. And then come to rest in any position or movement that feels useful. So working with a spinal twist, but the emphasis of the spinal twist is actually activating the abdominals. So for this one, the knees and feet are touching each other. So drawing the legs close to each other in the centre of the mat. Place the hands on the lower belly. And although we can carry the weight of the legs often quite far from side to side, err on the side of caution and make the amount that you move quite minimal, but really focus on engaging the abdomen. So when the knees are in the centre, you're breathing in, the belly can expand. And then as the knees go to the side, really scoop in the belly and focus on really activating the abdominals more than how far the legs go. Inhale to come to the centre, exhale to the other side. You might choose to rest one foot on the other or to keep both feet touching the ground, whatever works with your proportions. So inhale, middle, exhale. Legs go to the side, belly contracts. The spine is twisting, but the emphasis is on this contraction of the abdomen. Continue on with your own breath. Inhale to the centre and exhale, knees to the side, belly nice and firm. You can keep looking up at the ceiling, or if it's comfortable, you might choose to roll the head the opposite way to the knees. As you repeat, you might find that the legs do want to go a little bit further, but really keep focused on containing, gathering into your centre with that contraction of the abdominals. And repeating one or two more till you've worked equally to both sides, and then when you're balanced, returning to the centre. Take the feet apart again, take a moment to stretch and ease. So the next twist is a static twist. Again, start with the knees and the feet touching. For the purposes of explanation, I'll tell you rights and lefts. So stretching out your right leg onto the mat, and then lift the hips and just shift them maybe half an inch or an inch to the left side, so away from the outstretched leg. Place the sole of the foot of the left leg onto the right leg. It could be down at the shin, over the knee, or up on the thigh, wherever's comfortable. Using the right hand, take hold of the left knee and draw it across so that you're creating a twist. The left hand could rest on the belly or out by the side in any position that's comfortable. The right hand draws the left thigh towards the ground, but the left shoulder remains heavy. And so the spine is being twisted in that space between the drawing down of the leg and the resting of the shoulder on the ground. Gaze could be to the ceiling or to the side, wherever's comfortable. Once you're there, you might find it useful to make little tiny sort of rocking or micro movements and adjustments just to settle into the posture. And then tune into the breath. Wherever you're feeling the effects of the twist, when you're breathing in, imagine breathing space into any tight spots. And when you're breathing out, check where you might be gripping, maybe the shoulder or the hip or the jaw even. See if you can unravel and unwind. And on the out breath, also be aware of the weight of the limbs. So the outstretched arm heavy, the shoulder heavy, the hand against the leg heavy, the leg releasing towards the ground is heavy, the outstretched leg is heavy. So on the out breaths, really think of that heaviness, the weight of the body settling. If it's useful, you could return to the audible out breath, the sigh, or the. Otherwise, just breathing quietly in and out through the nose. On an in breath, returning to center, come back to symmetry. So realign the hips, rest with the knees bent or the legs stretched. Check the head's in line with the spine. And then on the other side, so the left leg stretches down the mat, the hips lift and shift an inch or so to the right. The right foot rests upon the left leg. The right arm rests upon the ground, and the left hand reaches up to the right knee, drawing the knees slowly and gently down towards the ground on the left side. And always err on the side of caution. We don't want to force the body into a twist. Just want to find a place where we meet resistance and then hold there. If we hold at that place where we meet resistance and breathe, very often the body will unwind and let us go a bit deeper. But it's waiting patiently as opposed to too much force. So on the in-breath, scanning through the spine, the hip, the leg, the shoulders, wherever you might be feeling the effects of the twist. Breathing in, imagining space in those tight areas. And on the out-breaths, gently encouraging the body into the twist, but also thinking about the weight of the limbs, the weight of the whole body settling against the ground. So remaining static in the pose, but active with the breath helping the body to unravel. And then gently returning to center. Realign the hips. Take a moment to rest or to stretch. So then moving on to the bridge pose. Bring the heels in as close to the hips as is comfortable. To begin, have a space between the feet and the same distance between the thighs and the knees. Arms by the side with the palms down, back of the neck long. And we'll do the version with 2 cycles of breath. So you're pausing on in-breaths and moving on out-breaths. You might want to watch and then join in. Really not a good idea to do the bridge pose with the head turned to the side. Really need to keep the gaze to the ceiling as you practice. So resting at the bottom, breathing in. To lift into bridge, tucking the abdominals in, tilting the tailbone, rolling through the spine vertebrae by vertebrae to wherever feels like the most comfortable height of lift for you. Keeping the butt, the legs, the feet really firm on the ground and avoiding knees separating, so trying to keep the thighs parallel. When you're at the top, pause there, take a breath in, let the belly expand. And then use the out breath, contract the belly, rolling back down through the spine. Pause at the bottom, let the legs relax and breathe in. And then continuing on, so exhale to roll through the spine to lift. Pause at the top to inhale. Exhale to roll back down. Pause at the bottom to inhale. And just continue on with that, with your own breath. And just a few things to think about as you work with the bridge. Can be common for either pressing into the heels or the toes, but try and keep the soles of the feet really firm. As I said before, easy for the knees to separate. Try and keep the thighs parallel. Really engage the legs, the thighs, the buttocks, the back and the belly as you lift. You can press the palms and the arms and the shoulders into the ground to really feel that strength through the body as you lift into the bridge pose. And if you want a challenge or a slightly different challenge, next time that you're down on the mat, bring the feet and the knees to touch each other so they slide into the center, and that slightly narrower base of support is just a slightly trickier way to be in the bridge pose. It's not quite so stable. So you need to kind of stabilize yourself with the strength of the legs, the buttocks and the back and the belly. So you can experiment with that version. Breath pattern the same, resting at the bottom to breathe in, using your out breath to lift, pausing at the top to inhale, and using the out breath to lower. So continuing with either the version with the feet apart or the feet touching and the knees touching. And in a moment, we will do a round where we hold. So in your holding round, you might choose to leave the arms down by your sides. You might like to lift the arms up overhead. Or you might be familiar with the version where you squeeze the shoulder blades together and link the hands. If you're not comfortable holding, continue with the Dynamic version. If you are comfortable holding, check that the knees don't separate. Keep that sense of either squeezing the knees together or keeping them parallel. Feet firm, thighs, buttocks, back, belly nice and strong. Breath as free as possible. And stay there for as long as feels like a challenge without causing strain or pain. When you're ready to release, make sure you leave enough energy to roll down with control. And when you reach the bottom, maybe being still, maybe stretching, whatever feels useful to you. So then working with Upanasana, so generating strength and energy in the core, or Manipur, the solar plexus energy center. Feet off the ground, knees in towards the chest. You can hold the thighs, the knees, or the shins. You can have the knees apart or together. The practice is just to hug the knees in and move them away. So bending the elbows to draw the knees close, stretching the elbows to move the knees away from you. The out breath, you're hugging the knees close towards you. The in breath, moving the knees away from you. It's common for the abdominals to want to push out as they engage, but try and scoop down and in. The more that you draw in with the belly, the more you strengthen the different layers of abdominal wall and also give a massage to the inner organs. For a stronger practice, you can lift the head, so as if you're trying to touch the nose to the knees, but otherwise you can just leave the head resting on the ground and work only with the legs. As ever, be guided by your body and what feels appropriate to you at this moment. Keep going for a couple more rounds. And then coming to rest, take the feet down. Take a moment to pause in stillness or stretch as you wish. So for the next practice, we'll be in the table pose, but take plenty of time to move from lying down to the table pose, resting on one side if that's useful before you sit. Grabbing any blankets or cushions for beneath your knees or your ankles. If your wrists aren't that comfortable fully flexed, then a cushion or a block to hang the fingers off the edge will soften the flexion, or you can make this position and then rest onto the knuckles instead of the flat palms. So adjust it to suit you. We'll just show you the version that we're doing today using the cat, the cow, and the child or the downward dog, depending on what suits you. So I'll quickly show you the practice. So we're alternating between the two movements. So cat and cow first, you scoop in the belly, head releases, stretching through the back of the body, and then cow pose, stretching the front of the body. The chin lifts, but there's still space in the back of the neck. From here, you can go to the child pose, so the hips can sink towards the heels as much or as little as is comfortable for your body. And the hands reach forward along the mat, so you're getting a stretch through the arms and the sides and the ribs. And then from there, returning to the table pose to repeat the cat and the cow. The other version that you can do is to work with down dog. So after a cat and a cow, tucking the toes, lifting the hips and moving back into down dog. In down dog, it's common to have too much weight in the hands and end up with a rounded back. If you think about moving the hips and the tailbone as far away from the hands as possible, head relaxes into the space between the arms, the spine is long. Probably to have the knees bent and the heels off the ground is going to help you find that length through the torso. So focus on length through the torso as opposed to heels down and straight legs, which can cause a rounding in the back. From there, back to table pose, and then you can work with the cat and the cow, followed by the child pose, and then the cat and the cow, followed by the downward dog. So you can use both variations, or you can pick your favourite and just work with either child or down dog. The breath is exhaling into the cat, inhaling into the cow pose, exhaling into the child pose, inhaling back to table. Exhale for the cat, inhale for the cow pose, exhaling for downward dog, inhaling back to table. So continuing on with your own breath rhythm, choosing child or down dog, or both, alternating as you wish. Being aware as you move of the fluidity through the spine. The cat flows into the cow pose. Being aware of the length through the torso in the child or the down dog. So that stretch from under the hands, through the arms, the armpits, the ribs, all the way through the spine to the tailbone. Continuing on with your slow, deep breath, timing the movements with the breath, warming, mobilizing, strengthening the body. And then drawing to a close, so finishing the round that you're on. When you've completed coming to a resting place, it could be that you go into the child pose with the extended arms and stay there. You might prefer child pose with the head supported or with the arms by your feet. If folding the legs is too strong, you could be in puppy, elbows wide, forehead down, hips high. Or if having the head low is too much, sitting back on the heels, resting on the forearms and lifting the head. Take time to find a position that works for you. Position your knees together or apart. Make sure the arms and shoulders are comfortable. And once you're in your position, focus on the breath. On the out breaths, feel that you settle towards the mat. Allow the body to become heavier and soften. And on the in breaths, imagine space in the places that feel like they're being stretched or are a little restricted. So again, your body is in stillness, but you're active with the breath and the intention of softening into the pose as you rest and breathe. Next, we will be coming up to standing, but take plenty of time as you lift your head from the position you're in. When you're ready, you might stand via a downward dog or a forward bend, or perhaps just step and stand, whatever feels comfortable to you. And once you're in an upright position, settling into Tadasana. So an inch or so between the feet, toes pointing forwards. Take time to really feel the soles of the feet on the ground. It might be that you rock around on the soles of the feet or wriggle the toes, whatever brings your awareness into the feet. Settling the weight through the feet, steady the legs with softness at the knees. Imagine the tailbone heavy and the lower back relaxed. So there's a sense of weight through the pelvis, the legs and the feet to the earth. And in opposition to that, a sense of lift from the hips to the ribs space, lengthening up through the spine, crown of the head floating to the sky. Face, shoulders, arms and hands soft and easy. And just pausing in Tadasana, getting that sense of stability and stillness in your upright mountain pose. Observe the breath coming and going. So we're going to work on shoulders and upper back. So for the shoulders, we're just going to roll the shoulders, one shoulder and then the other shoulder, one shoulder and then the other shoulder. See how the shoulder joints and the shoulder blades are feeling this morning. Keep the movement smooth and slow if it feels restricted or tender. As you warm, and if it's comfortable, you can make the movement bigger. As the movement becomes bigger, it could move into the ribs so that you're tilting the ribs side to side. You can twist the torso a little bit, so as you roll one shoulder, it turns the chest one way. If you roll the other shoulder, it turns the chest the other way. Make the movement as smooth and fluid as possible, so one roll flows into the next roll. If it makes sense, you could lift the elbows a little bit so that you're increasing the size and depth of the movement. So just making it your own in terms of how it sits in your body as you roll those shoulders, loosening, warming and mobilizing. Pause at a convenient place to reverse the direction. We're not particularly coordinating the breath, but make sure that you're breathing freely and not holding the breath as you concentrate on the movement. Good, and then just coming to rest. As you rest, give the shoulders a shrug and a shake, give the elbows a shake, give the wrists and the fingers and the hands a shake, and give the feet and the legs a shake. Good. So then working with the sort of neck, head, upper back area, we're supporting the head with the hands. So just cupping the hands around the lower part of the head, behind the ears. We're not going to pull on the head, we're just supporting the head. So the movement, if you bend your knees and draw the elbows forwards, the head dips down, chin towards the chest, and just the very upper back rounds. And then stretch the knees, lift the chest and the chin so that the head is supported, so there's lots of space in the back of the neck. Draw the elbows back a little bit to encourage opening under the armpits and through the chest. In this upward position, breathing in, and then as the knees bend, the elbows, the head draw forwards and the upper back round, breathing out. So inhale, stretch the knees, expand the chest, lift the chin, elbows back, and exhale, scoop in the belly, curve the upper back, head and elbows forwards. Continuing on with that movement with your breath, inhaling up and exhaling forwards and down. And it's really about getting movement through the shoulder blades and opening into the upper chest and the upper back. You don't have to bend the knees as you come forward. If it's comfortable to keep the knees straight, then work with straight knees. I find it sort of helps me to contract my abdominals if my knees are bent. That seems to be more available to me. So the next time that your head and elbows are forwards, just pause there, release the arms, roll your way back up to Tadasana. Take a moment to stretch and ease, or come back into stillness. So then pretty much the same movement but with different arm positions, so that instead of just working sort of from the shoulder blades up, this one is working more at the bottom of the shoulder blades. So the movement, the arms are out to the side, the knees bend, and as your hands are going to come forwards and the head's going to relax forwards, but as the hands come forwards, imagine you're being pressed back through the centre of the chest, so the space between the shoulder blades is drawing backwards in the space. And then as you stretch the knees, the chest expands, shoulder blades and arms draw back, chest and chin expand and lift, and then reversing. So drawing back through the centre of the spine, head and hands come forwards, knees soften, stretching up through the centre of the chest, arms draw back, chin lifts, inhaling as your chin is lifted, exhaling as your head relaxes forwards and the upper back rounds. So it's like a really slow flight. The arms are like wings. Exhaling, head and hands forwards, back rounds. Inhaling, chest and chin lift, arms draw backwards. Continuing on with your own breath. That slow, graceful flight. Next time that the head and hands are forwards, pause there, and you can either just release the arms and roll up, or if you want, you can go down into a forward bend. Spend a few moments in the forward bend, stretching, easing, loosening, and then roll your way back up to Tadasana. So take a moment to do what suits you, and eventually come back up to upright. So we're going to work with two different side bends. The first one, if we bring the hands to rest upon the heart center, so the sternum, the flat bone in the upper chest, and rest the hands one on top of the other on that part of the chest. And then the hand that's underneath is going to release, swing down, out to the side and up. It could end up going up to the ceiling, or it could end up going over sort of nearer the ear and over the head. And as you do that, the torso bends to the side. So you're staying really square and still from the belly button down. You're lifting up through the ribs, armpit and arm, through the side of the upper torso. Return to upright, place the hand on top of the other hand, and then release the underneath hand to lift and extend to the side. Continuing on with the breath. So the in-breath is the swing of the arm, the lift of the ribs, moving into the side bend. The out-breath, you return to center, hands against the heart center. Inhale, lift and extend to the side. Exhale, return hand to the heart center. Carrying on, keeping really stable from the waist down through the legs, the feet into the earth, and getting that flowing movement side to side through the upper torso, ribs and arms. Really imagine as you stretch the arm and breathe in, you're quite literally making space between the ribs, lengthening out the lung. So really have that sense of expansion through one side then the other. Continue for one or two more rounds till you feel that you've worked equally to both sides. And when you feel that you're balanced, come back to the center. Rest with the hands on the heart center for a moment. Just be aware of the breath moving beneath the hands. And then rest the arms, take a moment to stretch out the legs. So then, the other side bend, a little bit more about core strength. So linking the hands and resting the palms on top of the head. If that feels uncomfortable after a time, you could come back to what we were doing in the previous practice. But otherwise, resting the arms up here so you're carrying the weight of the arms in a different way. And anchoring the feet to the ground, lifting up out of the waist, bending to the side, but drawing in with the belly as you do so. Coming back to the center, take a breath in. And as you go to the other side, breathing out, squeezing the tummy. Inhaling to the center, and exhale as you side bend and squeeze the tummy. So making sure as you go from side to side that there's no coming forwards, there's no tilting backwards, and there's no twisting. We're literally going directly to the side as if you were between two panes of glass in a patio door. So really try and go truly to the side. It's not really about how far you go, it's about activating the muscles in the middle of your torso, so the belly, and also as you side bend, you're squeezing the muscles on one side of the waist and the back as well. The other side gets a chance to open. So really focus on the out breath, the strength in your center. The feet, the legs stay really steady, but you're creating flexibility and strength through the torso. continue for 1 or 2 more rounds till you feel that you worked equally to both sides. And when you feel balanced, come back to the center. Either rest just in Tadasana in stillness, or stretch and ease as you wish. Good. So, twisting practice for today, we'll take the feet apart and rock the weight from one foot to the other. So when you're standing on one foot, the other heel lifts, the toe still touches the ground, and you just rock the weight from foot to foot. Next time you're on the right foot, turn your torso to the right side. So you're trying to turn your center of your chest to the side. As you switch feet, you switch direction with the torso. As the torso turns, the arms follow. And the arms might swing around at hip height, or they might come up across the chest. Another alternative is for the back arm to reach out behind you. It's not that one is better than another, it's just finding which one feels like it makes the most sense in your body. And you might choose to switch between them, just for that sort of slightly different effect. See what's comfortable in terms of the gaze. It might be that you just gaze from side to side across the front of your space. It might be comfortable to look from side to side, or you might be having to look right the way around behind you, over your shoulder. Just make sure your neck's comfortable and that you don't make yourself feel dizzy. So experimenting with where you gaze, what your arms are doing, and also the speed. You could stick with a medium to slow pace, or to generate more heat and core strength, you could try going much quicker. We're not coordinating the breath and the movement, but make sure that you're breathing freely, even though also concentrating on the movement. Keep going for a few more moments. The version that works for you, speed that suits you right now. And then gradually slowing it down as it slows, make the movement smaller, and eventually return to Tadasana and back to stillness. Once you're in stillness, find your balance. Anchor to the earth from the hips to the heels, rising to the sky from the hips to the head, breathing freely into the space between. So from Tadasana, moving into the goddess squat, we're going to do the goddess, then we will work with a balancing sequence from the goddess squat, and also a variation that's got the vocalizations in it. So feet wide, toes to the corners, just thinking about the squatting of it first of all. So hands on the hips, bend and stretch the knees, just get the movement going in your body, noticing how your ankles, knees and hips are feeling with regard to how low to squat. Up to you what feels like it's challenging but without causing strain or pain. Making sure the little toes stay really anchored to the ground, so we're not rolling towards the inner edge of the foot. And also making sure that the inner thighs stay really strong. So those two things, little toes on the ground, inner thighs strong, keep the feet firm, and also the knees going over the centre of the toes. Be mindful of what happens to your spine. It can tuck, the tailbone can tuck under, which shifts the hips back, or the tailbone can stick backwards, which shifts the shoulders forwards. So try to keep shoulders over hips and the tailbone just going straight down and up. If you want to test yourself, rest against a wall, and the wall will stop you tilting forwards or backwards. So having warmed up the legs and remembered those pointers, bring the legs back together, give the legs a shake, and then just revisiting the arms that we do with the goddess pose. So they begin just arms lifted, whatever is comfortable, distance between your hands. And then the goddess is to create this shape with a right angle at the armpit, and a right angle at the elbow. The arms are directly out to the sides from the shoulders, so they're not drawing forwards or backwards. And the palms are in line with the forearms as opposed to pushing the heel of the hand forwards. There's space between the fingers and the fingers are relaxed. So joining that together, feet wide, lift the arms, feel like a star expanding up to the sky, anchoring down to the earth in that star shape. And then bending the knees, little toes firm, inner thighs strong, elbows out to the sides, support at the armpit, right angles at the elbows, space between the fingers, relaxed in the face. Stretching the knees and the arms, taking a breath in, exhaling into the goddess squat. And continuing on, inhale to lift and exhale to squat. You can change the intensity of the challenge by squatting lower if it suits you. Keep the heels on the ground though, and make sure that the spine stays really upright. You can also make a wider space between the feet, which tends to be a bit more challenging. Be guided by your body as to how much challenge to give yourself. Keep going with the dynamic version, inhaling up, exhaling down. And then in a couple of moments, we will go into the squat and hold. So squatting down into goddess and staying there. Feet nice and firm, inner thighs strong. Keep lifting through the waist and the spine. Broad across the chest and in the space between the shoulder blades. Supporting at the armpits. Reaching the fingertips for the sky, space between the fingers, softness in the fingers. Breathing really freely. The intensity will build up. That could come in the form of heat or shaking. Allow the intensity to build to a comfortable level. You know when is the moment to release. If you find you're holding the breath or tensing your jaw or your hands, you probably need to let go. If you're able to be quite relaxed, the breath nice and free, continue to hold. The point that you are ready to release, you might just choose to stand and relax, or you can forward bend, either just stretching through the spine with the hands sort of tucked into the hips, or resting the elbows on the knees and dangling the head down, or coming into a full forward bend. So see what suits you. Take some time wherever you are to have a little wriggle into the forward bend. Breathing nice and freely. And when you're ready to come up, come back up slowly, lifting the head last so that you're minimizing any lightheadedness. Once you're up in Tadasana, just take a moment to be still and steady and let that settle. So we're going to repeat the squatting, but we're going to turn it into the chopping wood practice. So the legs are the same, but the arms are different. So link your hands in front of you, lift your arms up overhead, and then draw the hands back down in front of you. And this happens with the breath. The in-breath is slow and steady and in through the nose, but the out-breath is swift and out through the mouth. So just start off as if you're blowing out a candle, and then inhale through the nose and exhale quickly as the arms come down. Inhale through the nose, exhale quickly as the arms come down. One more time like that, inhaling up and exhale. Good. And then just relax the arms. So when we do this, it's like an axe coming down, and we can, if we wish, vocalize with the HA sound, so ha. So if I show you quickly how that might look, we would lift the arms, take a breath in, and then ha on the way down. So that's it. We'll do a few rounds of the chopping the wood practice, and then after the last round, we'll just lift the arms and come back to Tadasana. People like to do different things with the chopping wood. You can imagine all your challenges there on the log, and as you chop, any challenges or difficulties are chopped up into manageable pieces, where it's like you're sending the energy of the ha and the power into your life situations. Or you can just imagine it as a physical practice that we'll do. So feet wide, whatever comfortable distance for you, toes to the corners, hands linking in front of you. Let's do 7 rounds. So lifting the arms, taking a breath in. Last round. And then release the arms. Bring the feet back together. Just settle in Tadasana for a moment. Good, so the practice of chopping wood. Moving on now to a balancing practice. We'll be starting like we did with the goddess squat. And then the balance will always be in a squat, but only on the one leg. So it's essentially the same as we were doing, but lifting a foot off the ground. There are 3 different leg positions. One is the foot in front, one is the knee and foot lifting up to the side, and one is with the foot lifting behind. So it's partly a brain challenge, partly a balance challenge, carrying the the weight of the leg in different places. So we'll just practice that. We'll do 4 in each position. We'll start with the hands on the hips because there's also arms and hand positions, but we'll just do the legs first. So feet wide, hands on the hips, shifting the weight onto the right leg as you squat on the right leg and lift the left leg up in front of you. Place the left foot down and then repeat the other way. Place the right foot down, balancing onto the right foot. Place the left foot down, balancing onto the left foot. Good, and that's that first set. Then we're lifting the knee and the foot up to the side. So transfer the weight, lifting the knee. It's kind of more to the corner than the side, I would say. Weight on both feet, and then lifting to the side. Weight into both feet, lifting to the side. Weight into both feet, and lifting to the side. Then the foot's coming up behind, so weight into both feet, and lifting the foot behind. Weight into both feet, lifting the foot behind. Once more each side, so from the side view, both feet balancing, and then both feet and balancing. Great, so that's the legs. Every time that you're sinking down into the squat on the supporting leg, really let the hips be even. It's sort of easy to end up a bit twisted or lifted on one side, but try and imagine that you're in the goddess squat, so you're just going down really evenly, and trying to get the weight right over the center of the supporting foot and still have the sense of lift and length through the spine to the crown of the head. So that's the legs. The arms, the first position with the feet coming up in front, I'm going to make this position. So the index fingers tucked into the base of the thumb, the other 3 fingers are extended, and the elbows are going to draw down. So we'll be in this position, like an elegant dancing position. And then as you come up, you can either keep the mudra or release the hands, and then repeat the other way. So just get used to that arm position, stretching up, and then mudra as the elbows come down. Lovely. Good. Then when the knees are going to the side, or the corners rather, we're using the goddess arms. So you're symmetrical in the center, and then lift the knee and come into this position. So that's already familiar in your muscle memory. When we have the foot out to the back behind us, we're just going to bring the palms together in front. So we'll go from the symmetrical open star position into palms together at the heart center as the leg lifts behind. Good. So, brain and body challenge. Let's go really slowly. We're going to also add the layer of breath awareness. So every time you're in the star position, you're inhaling, and every time you're in a balanced posture, you're exhaling. So feet wide, toes to the corners, lifting up through the arms. We'll do 4 in each position. So taking a deep breath in, shifting onto the right foot, leg comes up in front, hands make the mudra, elbows draw down. Inhale, extend back into the star, Exhale, shift the weight to the left foot. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the balance. Inhale to the center. And exhale to the balance. Now we're lifting the foot up at the side, making the goddess arm. So inhale, star shape. Exhale, knee lifts at the side, elbows draw down. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the balance. Inhale to the center. Exhale to balance. Inhale to center. Exhale to balance. Now the legs lifting behind. Hands are coming to prayer pose. Inhale, center. Exhale, lift the leg behind. Palms together. Inhale, center. Exhale, balance. Leg back, palms, prayer pose. Inhale, center. Exhale, balance. Last time, inhale, center. Exhale, balance. Back to the star shape. And then rest. Coming back to Tadasana. Shake, stretch, ease, whatever's useful. And then find stillness. Great. So just to finish, we'll work with backward and forward bending, just a symmetrical stretch through the body. Your forward bend could be just the head and shoulders forward with the hands on the thighs, or the hands on the knees, the shins all the way down to the ground. And when we come back up out of the posture, we're going to send the arms sideways, squat through the legs, and come up in that way to return to center. So in Tadasana, bring the palms together at the heart center. Slowly lifting up from the belly button through the ribs and the chest and the chin, lifting the arms, separate the hands as much as you need for the shoulders to remain relaxed. Pause there, anchor the feet to the earth, lengthen up through the torso to the fingers in the sky. Bring the palms together, roll your way down. Whatever depth of forward bend works for you for now. Pause at wherever the bottom is for you. Have a wriggle, have a stretch, experiment with bending and stretching the knees, loosening the neck, shaking out the arms, and then preparing to come up. Bend the knees so you're squatting, send the arms sideways, fly the hands up overhead, palms together and down in front of the heart center. So 3 more rounds. Inhale as you lift up and expand. Pause there, breathing deeply. Anchor the feet and float the hands to the sky. Exhale, rolling forwards and down. Pause wherever the bottom is for you. Shake, ease and loosen. Breathing deeply. Prepare to come up, bend the knees, hands sideways. Inhale as you fly to the top. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, lift and expand, pause and breathe. Exhale, roll forwards and down, pause and release. Inhale, arms to the side, flying up. Exhale, palms together. Last time, inhale, lift and extend. Exhale, roll forwards and down. Inhale, arms side and fly up. Exhale, palms together. Release the arms, find Tadasana. Scan through the body, make any adjustments. Settle into stillness and let the breath find a natural, comfortable depth and speed. Great. So we're moving from here to Shavasana for the relaxation. Take a moment to grab socks, layers, blankets, cushions, whatever you need to be comfortable for relaxation. When you make it to the ground, take a moment maybe to hug the knees, rock from side to side, or any other movement, twist, stretch that feels like it's useful. When you're settling into Shavasana, finding out whether you would benefit from knees bent to support the back, or if you just want a cushion under the knees, or if you're happy with outstretched legs, feet wider than hip width and the toes flopping to the corners. Where's most restful for the arms, by the sides, palms up or down, or hands against the body. Check the head's in line with the spine. As the body settles, tuning into the breath. Quiet, gentle rhythm of your breath, rising and falling. And then working around the body, squeezing and releasing different muscle groups, starting with the right foot and leg. Squeeze, tense, tighten and grip, and then exhale to soften and release. Squeeze, tense, tighten and grip your other foot and leg. Exhale, soften and release. Squeeze the buttocks tightly so the hips raise a little bit. Exhale to release. Press the backs of the shoulders into the ground so the chest expands and lifts a little. And exhale, release. Draw the shoulders towards the ears, squeezing into the neck. Slide them away as you exhale and release. Make two tight fists, tense and tighten both arms. And exhale, release. Finally, the face screwing up, the eyes and mouth really tightly closing. Exhale, release. And then stretch the eyes, stretch the mouth, stretch the tongue into the lion pose. And release. Make any movements or adjustments to get the body comfortable, and then settle back into stillness. In the stillness, be aware of the movement of the breath. Keep your mind moving as you travel your awareness from one body part to the next, encouraging each area of the body to soften and relax. I relax my toes, the soles of my feet, my heels. I relax my ankles, my calves, my shins. I relax my knees, my thighs, my buttocks and hips. I breathe deeply, my legs are relaxing. I breathe deeply, my legs are relaxed. I relax my lower back, my middle back, my upper back. I relax my abdomen and internal organs. I relax my chest, my heart, my lungs. I breathe deeply, my torso is relaxing. I breathe deeply, my torso is relaxed. I relax my fingers, my palms, my wrists. I relax my lower arms, my elbows, my upper arms. I relax my shoulder blades and collarbone. I breathe deeply, my arms are relaxing. I breathe deeply, my arms are relaxed. I relax my neck, my throat, my jaw. I relax my mouth, my cheeks, my ears. I relax my nose, my eyes, my eyebrows. I relax my forehead, my scalp, my brain. I breathe deeply, my head and face are relaxing. I breathe deeply, my head and face are relaxed. My whole body is relaxing. My whole body is relaxed. So bringing your awareness to your breath, finding the lengthening of the out breath to make room for a full, spacious in-breath. Gradually encouraging that lengthening and deepening of the breath. And as you focus on the breath, also being aware of the body, the position you're in, the feeling of the body against the surface beneath you. When you're ready to move, start with little tiny movements, maybe the fingers or the toes, or turning the head from side to side. And gradually make fuller, bigger movements through the limbs, through the spine, twisting or hugging or lengthening, yawning, stretching and easing. Taking plenty of time. And eventually, when you feel that you're ready, prepare to sit, maybe rest on one side first, or at least find a slow, gentle transition from lying to seated. Once you're up, either sitting on the floor, cushion, or a chair, really anchor the sit bones, settle the legs, lengthen through the spine, soften the face, the shoulders, the arms, and the hands. And we'll finish with one cycle of breath that we mirror with the arms. The hands will lift up and overhead on the in-breath. The palms will join together overhead and draw down in front of the heart center on the out-breath. And there's an option to hum as you exhale. So inhale, lifting the arms. Join the palms and exhale. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.